Hello and welcome back to a brand new video. So today you're going to join me in a review of our ST150, and so far so good. Everything's been like well on it. It's it's running really well. Excuse my voice by the way, I think I've got man flu again. Well, hopefully it's man flu. So this is our MK6 Fiesta ST. It's a 2006 plate, and to be honest, it's not a bad little runner. So the car's around about 14 years old now, and to be honest, it drives really well. I can't really put anything wrong with it currently. Standard wise, this car came with traction control, it came with the automatic headlights, automatic wipers, and it did come originally with power fold mirrors, but they broke, and I didn't find that out until I actually replaced them with brand new power fold mirrors. So the spec sheet on these are not too bad, from factory. I think there's a few other little options that you could get, like heated seats. I think that's it. But I think some come with sunroofs as well, so I'm led to believe. They came with a 6 CD changer as well, which this one, like I said in one of my previous videos, is actually quite plasticky and just looks a bit rubbish, honestly. But you can upgrade these to the Sony head units, which I'm looking to do, and I think they're currently around about £80 on eBay, so I might get one of those just to sort of spruce up the interior a little bit. This particular model actually came with a climate control as well, so instead of the normal aircon, you get the climate control as well, so it senses what temperature the car is and can automatically adjust everything for you. To be honest, I haven't really used it because it's been winter and I just turned it up to full whack anyway. Most Fords as well obviously come with the heated front windscreen as well, so over the last sort of couple of months where it has been quite cold, that's come in really handy. We had to replace this one because the screen we got originally didn't actually have the heated elements in it, so I actually found one from a breakage yard for 50 quid and got that fitted to the car. Now, what's all the boring stuff? So the miles per gallon, currently I'm getting an average miles per gallon of 28 miles per gallon. That's not sort of too bad, but that's only an average. When you're doing, when you're doing 70 miles an hour on the motorway, that soon swallows up all the fuel because these are quite juicy little 2 litres. So yeah, obviously, like I said, this is a 2 litre, 150 horsepower. It's not overwhelming, it's not super speedy, but as a small car and with the 2 litre engine, it actually sort of does pull quite well. So this actual car's had 10 owners in its lifetime, which is quite a lot, and I think I'm the 11th owner of this car, but the price was reflected in that when we bought it. It was in quite bad shape when we bought the car originally. I've done a few videos of all the stuff that I've changed, like all the plastics were torn to pieces, the paintwork was shot to bits, it still is, it still needs quite a bit of work doing to it. But I mean, of a car of 14 years, I'm not expecting to pick something up that's, like a mint. However, saying that, the bodywork's not in, it's not in horrific condition. It's got the usual paint chips and scrapes and dents, and that's something that, as a project car, we're going to try and get rid of all of those over the lifetime of the car. When I say lifetime, I mean this year. So this is a 5-speed manual. It does pick up pretty well in all the gears. I can only compare it to my sort of Focus RS and the BMW that we had and the Edge. And it's sort of, like I say, it's not the quickest of cars, but it does get you out of trouble. If you want to overtake, it's easy to drop a gear down and, overtake people. Also, pulling away from lights, pulling away from junctions, you've got the speed there. It's not like a 1.1 litre where, you need to sort of hope and pray that you're going to make it out of the junction. This will get you out of any sort of sticky situation. So I think brand new, these cars, depending on what options you chose, were around about £13,000 to £14,000. That's 14 years ago. And I think they've probably lost around about, let's say about £800 each year. So we actually picked this motor up in itself for £1,500. So there's plenty of other models out there. I've seen ones ranging from £500 and I've seen ones ranging from like £3,500 to £4,000, but they were low mileage ones. This one is currently sitting on 152,000, so it's done quite a lot of mileage in its years, and that's, I think, reflected in the bodywork anyway. So you can probably tell when I'm steering straight, the steering wheel is to the left a little bit, and I think the tie rods are going to need changing. So that's good for me because that's another little project coming up that I can fix on the car. But other than that, these cars drive really well. Well, I say this one drives really well. I don't know about every other ST out there. What other boring things can we get rid of? So the tax is, I think it's £240 a year. This car itself, to insure for us, me and my wife, was £300 for the year. But I think that obviously depends on your age, how long you've been driving, and what no claims bonus you've got. So if you're a new driver picking one of these up, I guess you're going to be looking at around about £1,000 for insurance. But as the older you get and the more no claims that you get, obviously insurance drops down. And ours was, luckily, between me and my wife, was only £300 to insure. I think it was £350, I can't remember. To fill this car up is around about £45, and you get around about, I'd say you get about 300 miles, maybe sort of between 270 and 300 miles really. But that's not bad, because my Focus RS, that costs the same, and I get around about the same sort of mileage. But obviously when you give it beans, you're not ever going to get that sort of miles per gallon on the car. I've done a separate video saying all the things I do and I don't like about this car as well. One of them is the steering wheel. It's quite chunky, but you get good steering for it, you get a good feeling for the road through it. Obviously if you've got a smaller steering wheel, that would be a little bit better, but obviously we're happy with this one. I'm not sort of, I think we're going to track the car, but I'm not going to turn it into any sort of, you know, track monster. I'm not doing any more power to the car. I'm not stripping out the rear, because the back seats are coming handy already, because we've been able to take the baby out in it as well. Talking about the mileage on this car as well, this car, like I say, has done 152,000 miles, but the engine itself was put in last year, and I think it's only done around about 40,000 miles. So the engine's good, well, touch wood, the engine's good. The bodywork, however, like I said, is, you know, it's a bit naff. The one thing I don't like about this car as well when you're driving is that because it's been lowered on coilovers, you can literally hear every crash, bang and wallop. You know, if you hit a fag paper on the road, you hear every crash, bang and wallop through the arches, and it's just not that nice of a sound when you're driving. It's maybe when I was younger and I was 18, that would have been fine, but now I'm a bit older, I'm not interested in that sort of crash, bang, wallop and the low life as such. The car does look better being low, I won't lie, but we are going to look at just putting some actual lowering springs on the car, and like I said in my last video, probably going to put the red wheels on, the RL7s, or maybe even the Focus RS wheels will go on there, because they're sitting behind the shed doing absolutely nothing in a minute. So one thing I do like about this car is the styling as well, because it's an older car. Me personally, I prefer the older looking Fords. I think they've just got a bit more character about them. I do like the Mark 7s and the Mark 8s, you know, they do look nice, but there's just something about the Mark 6, and obviously the price of it, that made us buy the car, really. But the styling of these, you know, you've got like the more boxier shape to the car, whereas I think the Mark 7s and the Mark 8s have got that sort of bubbleness to them now, and I think that's the route that Ford are sort of going to go down. And the older models, even the old Z-Tech S's, the Mark 5s, I think they look, you know, brilliant, but a few of them now are just turning into rot boxes, unfortunately. So we've driven this car on the motorway as well, and cruising at 70 miles an hour. With this particular exhaust, it's quite drony, I won't lie, and obviously with the radio and the antenna, it's not the best, you never get the best reception. So if we can get a better radio, that would be ideal. Or if I could find where the bloody aux lead goes, then I could plug my phone in and actually play music. But at the minute, there's no aux down here in the centre console, and someone did mention in one of my videos that it's in the glove box potentially, but I literally can't find it anywhere where it may be. So I'm going to take the radio out, have a look at that, and then see it getting the aux lead installed. I feel like I'm shouting over the sound of the exhaust, even though I've got a microphone there, but still I'm going to have to probably adjust all the sound on this video. One thing I have noticed with this car as well, I don't know if this is the same on all STs, but the water temperature sensor always sits at 60 degrees. Now that can't be right, so I've either got a problem with it or these engines just run really cool, but 60 degrees, I'm not too sure any engine should be that good running at 60 degrees. It should be around about sort of 80, I would say, but maybe that's something I can look at in the future to see if the thermostat housings are broken or anything. The thing is with these sort of reviews as well, it's so hard for me to say all the things I do like and all the things I don't like, because what I like you may not like, and what I don't like you may like. So to be honest, it's not really a buyer's guide. This is just my personal view on this particular car. I won't lie, I do enjoy driving it. I miss the Focus, obviously driving that all the time, but that needs an MOT in a minute, so I'm just trying to get one of those sorted, and then we can take the Focus out. But I do need to put the seats back in the Focus, because obviously now we've got the baby and he's 11 months old. It'd be nice if we do go to car shows that we can take the Focus, because obviously it's been stripped out. I can't do that, and I don't really like him being in the back of this car because it's really noisy and just clunky. To be honest, the whole drive I've not really even heard any of the clunking that I normally do, but you do when I drive it to and from the station. You can sort of really hear all of the clunking going on, and it's not ideal really, it's just a bit annoying to be honest. Although you can literally throw these cars round the roundabouts and they just hold on and hold on and hold on for dear life. That's the one good thing. Well, I mean, there's plenty of good things about this car, but one of the great things about this car is the handling. You can throw it into a corner and it will stick there. You know, I don't always like to throw it into corners, don't get me wrong, but when you're on track and things like that, this car will probably come into its own. It just really hugs the corners. I don't know if you've noticed in any of my other videos though, the tyres I've got on are absolutely shocking. So that's something I want to look at getting changed on the car anyway. But as you know, when you're modifying a car and you're changing bits on the car, it's just expensive. Tyres are probably going to cost in the region of £300. The wheels to get refurbed, that was a couple of £100. So at the minute, like you see of all my videos, I'm changing all the easier bits, you know, all the bits that are broken I can get from a breaker's yard. You know, they cost me 10, 20, 30 sort of pounds. I think the most expensive thing, which I still haven't got yet, is the mats. I've got them from Ford and they were 50 quid. So that was actually the most expensive item that we've bought for this car so far. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not really good at reviewing cars. You can probably tell that I've waffled on quite a bit anyway. I just talk how it is. I just say what I think of the car. You know, it's fun to drive. It's fairly cheap to run. Depending on your age, it's fairly cheap to run. I mean, I put 45 quid on this on Sunday, sorry, and we'll be on now Thursday, so, and it's not even gone to 3/4, but I only drive, you know, a small distance to the station and back. But we did go up to Cambridge to have a look at the Cambridge Concourse meet and greet, so that was a fair few miles, so it's not too bad. If you're going to put your toe down everywhere, then don't expect to get any sort of decent miles to the gallon. It's just never going to happen. But if you're sensible driving, you know, you stick to the speed limits, which you should anyway. You know, when you're doing sort of your 30s, your 50s, your 70s, you're in fifth gear, you're cruising along, this car's actually not sort of too bad. One thing I did forget to mention as well that it does have is it's got the digital display up here. I think some did and some didn't come with digital displays, but this one you can change it so that when you indicate, it will indicate 3 times. You get the stay at home lights, and I think that's it. I've not really actually looked into it, to be honest, but there's a few little adjustments that you can make, like the beeping noises, etc. Which actually leads me on to another good thing. On the dash, it's quite informative. So, you know, it tells you when, it sounds silly, but when the door's open, you get a light to tell you the door's open, and it will say driver's door open or passenger door open. It tells you when it's too cold outside. It's just all these little sensors that I think, you know, are quite good for a car that's 14 years old. It's actually quite good that the car, you know, sort of tells you any sort of problems. And I can see quite a lot of other lights there that want to light up, like the petrol light tells you how many miles you got left. You know, my Focus doesn't even do that. Just tells me when it's empty and then to fill it up. Yeah, it's actually got quite a few different, I mean, obviously I don't want to see some of them light up, like the traction control lights up every now and again, but that's because we've got really sort of crap tyres on this car. Seat belts, obviously, if you're not wearing your seat belt, I mean, all the boring ones, but there's quite a lot of sort of information right in front of you there, which I think is quite good. You can tell I've got a Focus RS because it tells you nothing. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, you can do so up here, and if you want to watch the latest video, you can do that up here. Okay, thanks, bye.